The harsher the ending, the more you mattered. That sounds backwards. But think about the contradiction nobody knows what to do with. You had a relationship containing warmth, intimacy, affection, laughter, trust, sex, companionship, future plans, even a sense of home. They chose you, they opened up to you, and then the ending arrives sounding as though none of it had ever been real. Suddenly you are too much, too needy, too intense, fundamentally incompatible. They speak with such cold certainty that you begin questioning your own memory. And naturally you think, if they can talk about me like this now, I must have misunderstood everything that came before. But that is exactly where the contradiction begins to make sense. The positive relationship is precisely what created the psychological problem the harsh ending had to solve. An emotionally insignificant person is easy to leave. You do not need an elaborate internal story to escape someone who means nothing to you. There is no powerful attachment to suppress, no dependency to reverse, no meaningful future to dismantle, but someone who reached you deeply presents a much harder problem. The more emotionally significant you became, the more there was to deactivate. You represented safety, acceptance, intimacy, and companionship, the very things that allowed attachment to form. The safer you were, the easier it became to depend on you. The more understood they felt, the more exposed they became, and the more important you became, the more losing you could hurt. So the problem was not that you failed to reach them. You reached somewhere their defenses were designed to protect. And once you understand that, the ending starts looking very different. There are 5 stages to what happens next: the alarm, the translation, the rewrite, the relief, and finally the wall. And by the time we reach the last one, the harshness that felt like a verdict on your value starts revealing something else entirely. First comes the alarm. Before the breakup, there is usually a shift. Something that once felt easy starts feeling loaded. Warmth becomes distance. A vulnerable conversation is followed by silence. Future plans suddenly create tension instead of excitement. Affection feels natural until the relationship requires deeper commitment, repair, or emotional dependence. Then come the words you have probably heard before: I need space. You hear that and immediately start looking at yourself. Was I too demanding? Did I crowd them? The alarm is ringing through the relationship, so you assume there must be a fire, and that the fire is you. But attachment defenses do not announce themselves. The person does not sit there thinking, I am frightened by how emotionally dependent I am becoming on someone I deeply value. They simply start feeling wrong, restless, irritable, uneasy, trapped, anxious around somebody they previously relaxed around, desperate for space without understanding why space suddenly feels so necessary. For some people, that activation is intensely physical: racing heart, tension, shakiness, stomach discomfort, a powerful bodily urge to escape. For others, deactivation creates almost the opposite experience: numbness, flatness, emotional anesthesia. I don't know what I feel anymore. And this is where everything starts going wrong, because emotions arrive with urgency, not footnotes. The body does not say, an old attachment defense is being activated by increasing intimacy. It says, get out. Something is wrong. I need to be alone. And because the sensation is real, the conclusion derived from it feels real too. Before we go any further, if this is helping you make sense of an ending that never seemed to add up, take a second to like the video and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what confused you most: the sudden anxiety, the emotional shutdown, or the certainty with which they blamed the relationship. Because the distinction we are about to make changes the entire case. This is the distinction that changes the entire case. Their fear is real without its explanation being accurate. Their anxiety is real. Their suffocation feels real. Their urgency is real. And you can still have done nothing proportionate to produce it. A nervous system response proves that the nervous system is responding. It does not prove that its interpretation of the present relationship is correct, because sometimes what feels dangerous is not you, it is needing you. That is the killer distinction. They trust you, they adore your company, they feel safer with you than with almost anybody, and precisely because of that, your absence matters. Your opinion matters, your affection matters, whether you stay matters. You can hurt them now, not because you are abusive, because you are important. Their emotional equilibrium no longer exists entirely inside themselves, and for somebody organized around the rule that safety means never needing another person enough to be destabilized by them, attachment itself starts feeling dangerous. That creates the second stage, the translation. The internal sequence is, I am attached. Attachment makes me vulnerable. Vulnerability activates danger. My body becomes distressed. But consciousness often receives only the final line. I feel terrible in this relationship. So the mind searches for a cause, and you are standing right there. I'm anxious becomes, you make me anxious. I'm afraid of depending on you becomes, you're suffocating me. I'm overwhelmed by my own vulnerability becomes, you're too intense. I need enormous distance to regulate myself becomes, you're needy. And finally, I am frightened by how much this matters becomes, I realized I don't love you. That does not require calculated deceit, it is attribution. A genuine internal feeling gets assigned to the most obvious external explanation, the relationship. And once that translation starts, even your good qualities begin changing meaning. Your attentiveness becomes hovering. Your desire to understand becomes interrogation. Your affection becomes clinginess. Your attempts at repair become refusing to respect their space. The qualities that made you valuable enough to become deeply attached to are now being redescribed as the qualities that made the relationship unbearable. And if you accept that reinterpretation, their defense follows you home. You start editing yourself, wondering whether your loyalty was dependency, your emotional depth was intensity, your desire for repair was neediness, which brings us to the third stage, the rewrite. Imagine trying to leave somebody while continuing to think, this person understands me, they treated me beautifully, I trust them, this connection is rare. Every one of those thoughts creates doubt. Every positive memory pulls the attachment back online. Every acknowledgement of your value makes separation harder to maintain, so the positive representation becomes psychologically inconvenient. They never really understood me. Actually, they were smothering. We were fundamentally incompatible. I think I always knew something was missing. Now leaving feels coherent. And the present emotional state begins reorganizing the past around itself. Happy memories become less salient, conflicts become disproportionately important, minor annoyances become signs, ordinary incompatibilities become fatal flaws, future plans become something they convinced themselves they wanted, and eventually, looking back, it was obvious, except it was not obvious when they were actually living it. The ending cannot travel backwards through time and erase the relationship that produced the attachment. If they repeatedly chose you, trusted you, opened themselves to you, desired you, and made plans with you, those behaviors are evidence too. The tenderness happened, the intimacy happened, the attachment happened. You do not have to surrender years of lived reality to the most offensive 10 minutes of the relationship. And yet this is exactly what people do because of stage 4, the relief. They leave, contact stops, the expectations disappear, nobody is asking them to remain emotionally accessible anymore, and suddenly their nervous system calms down. Relief, that relief feels like proof. See, I knew the relationship was making me unhappy, but two completely different causal sequences create exactly the same relief. Bad partner, distress, escape, relief, or attachment, vulnerability, threat, distress, separation, deactivation, relief, same relief, completely different explanation. Distance stops activating the attachment system they were struggling to regulate. The nervous system settles. Relief tells you the distancing strategy worked. It does not automatically tell you why the original distress existed. Numbness can create the same illusion. I don't miss them. Therefore, I never really loved them. But the absence of currently accessible feeling is not proof of the absence of historical attachment. Successful suppression feels like absence. Deactivation feels like clarity. Distance feels like truth. And this is why their sudden certainty deserves less authority, not more. You are grieving. They sound calm. You are confused. They sound completely sure. But that certainty is occurring alongside maximum need for distance, emotional suppression, negative attribution, and selective memory. Their certainty sounds like the end of the mystery. It is actually part of the mechanism. And that brings us to the final stage, the wall. Imagine they said, "I love you enormously. I am terrified of how much I need you, and I am destroying something meaningful, because intimacy activates defenses I do not understand." That leaves the attachment intact. Tenderness, grief, ambivalence, a reason to reconsider. Now compare it with, "I don't love you anymore. We are fundamentally incompatible. You make me miserable." There is absolutely no future here. Now the nervous system has a wall. No ambiguity, no tenderness, no maybe, no uncomfortable recognition of what is being lost. Harsh words become a kind of emotional architecture. They do not merely hurt you, they create structure inside them. And the stronger the attachment that has to be overridden, the stronger the wall has to become. So do not let their most defensive state become your mirror. Look at the entire relationship instead. What did they repeatedly choose? What did they value about you before the distancing began? That history is evidence. The final deactivated state does not gain authority simply because it came last, because you cannot simply decide somebody is less important, so they become less compatible, less caring, less special, then irritating, then oppressive, then impossible. Now the attachment has a story that supports the distance. This is not every avoidant breakup. Some relationships are genuinely unhealthy. Some people are genuinely incompatible. Some feelings genuinely end. None of this excuses cruelty. Their fear does not excuse what they did. Their attachment does not obligate you to rescue them. The bond can be real without being safe. Real does not mean enough. So when those final words replay in your head, "You were too much. You were the problem. It was never right. I never really loved you," stop treating them as an objective evaluation of who you are. You are not necessarily devalued because you had so little value. You were devalued because continuing to recognize your value made leaving harder. Case closed, for now. I have been the Relationship Detective, and thank you for watching. If this video helped you see things more clearly, please give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I wish everyone watching all the best, and I hope to see you again in the next video.